All right, so today we're going to try something a little different. We're not looking at a whole bunch of different texts or sources. We're
Hmm.
going to do a deep dive into a single submitted prayer.
Okay.
And, it's personal, obviously. But it gives us, I think, a really concentrated look at some pretty fundamental ideas about how we should connect with people and just how we aim to live our lives in general. And specifically, we're going to be looking at the themes of, actively showing love,
Hmm.
the power of our words, specifically avoiding negativity, and then this interesting pairing of living with both truth and love.
Yeah.
So the mission today is to see what kind of practical wisdom we can get out of this concise expression about, building better relationships and navigating life in general in a more thoughtful way.
Yeah. It's remarkable how much is packed in such a small space, really.
Yeah.
You can really, by focusing on these core themes, I think we can really unpack what it means to interact positively with the world around us.
Okay, so let's jump into this first part. The prayer asks us to demonstrate the love of Christ to those around us, both in the world and our church family. What do you think is particularly interesting about this call to demonstrate love?
Well, I think what stands out to me is that it's an active directive, right? It's not.
Right.
It moves beyond just simply feeling love or believing in love. It's about the tangible expression of love.
Right.
And so this suggests that love in its most impactful form isn't a passive emotion. It's something that we actively do for others,
Hmm.
whether they're close to us or they're part of the wider world.
Right. It implies that our actions are the real measure of our love, not
It's
just our
failing or it's
feelings or,
It's putting feet to our feelings, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then it shifts gears a little bit.
Is it?
It goes into our communication. Keep us from speaking ill of others, and instead let our words be encouraging, healing, and edifying.
Yeah.
And in today's climate, I mean, that really resonates.
Oh, it certainly does. If you think about the impact of language, I mean, it's a powerful force, right? Words can build bridges or they can burn them.
Yeah.
And this part of the prayer really highlights the conscious choice to use our communication not to tear down through negative speech, but to actively build up
Right.
through encouragement, healing, and edification.
Yeah.
And edifying in this context goes beyond simple encouragement.
Right.
It suggests building someone up intellectually or spiritually.
So it's not just about avoiding the negative, but actively striving for a positive impact with our words,
Hmm.
which that's a pretty high standard for our daily conversations.
Well, it raises a crucial question, I think, about our intentions when we speak, right?
Yeah.
Are we aiming to contribute something positive, to uplift and support, or are we driven by less constructive impulses?
Mm.
And I think this prayer is encouraging a real mindfulness about the power that we hold in our language.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the final piece of this prayer asks that we live in truth and love. How do you think those two ideas work together?
I think the pairing is really key. Truth without love can be delivered in a way that's harsh and damaging, and it ultimately undermines its value.
Yeah.
Conversely, love without truth can lack a solid foundation, potentially leading to inauthenticity or even enabling harmful behavior.
Right.
So living in both suggests this balanced ethical framework where honesty and compassion are guiding our actions and our interactions.
So for our listener, what are the key takeaways here? We've looked at actively demonstrating love, the vital role of positive and constructive communication, and this fundamental principle of living in truth and love. How do you think that all ties together?
Well, if we connect it back to our aim, I think this prayer offers a surprisingly practical guide.
Yeah.
It reminds us that fostering strong relationships and living a life of integrity aren't just these abstract ideals. They're a series of conscious choices that we make every day in how we behave, how we speak, and how we orient ourselves towards others.
Right. It's a concise roadmap for navigating our interactions and our own moral compass.
Precisely.
So as you go about your day, listener, consider this. How might a conscious effort to put love into action, to choose encouraging words over negative ones, and to live with both truth and love at the forefront, how might that subtly but significantly shift your interactions and the sense of community around you, both in your closest relationships and then in the wider world? That's something I think is worth pondering. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Of course.
We'll see you next time.